Facebook ads are still one of the best ways to bring in new business, but there are a handful of really common mistakes that I see all the time that basically ruin it for many small business owners, and they end up wasting money, and then they walk away thinking Facebook ads just don't work. So what happens is they never end up getting the really powerful benefits that the right Facebook ad can bring. But in this video, I'm gonna turn it around and show you how to avoid all these mistakes so that you can confidently start running the campaign that's gonna work for your business. I'm Wes McDowell, web strategist at The Deep End, and this is the channel where I show you how to use your website and what's working now in digital marketing to supercharge your business growth. So what are these Facebook ad mistakes that you need to avoid? So let's get right into them, starting from the top. And the first one is overcomplicating your ad setup. So basically, the simpler your setup is, the more you let Facebook's algorithm get you the results that you want. So what you really want to do is simplify the number of ad sets. I recommend generally one campaign and two ad sets, one for your warm audiences, one for your cold audiences, and then a few different ads to test for each, and that's about it. And you want to try for over 1 million people per audience rather than narrowing it down too much. And I know that's not always possible if you're in a smaller area, if you're targeting a smaller town. Sometimes you don't want to layer too many other targeting options on top of that. Because it's just gonna give you too few people in your pool. So then you're gonna wanna let your ads run for 3 to 5 days and see what audiences and what ads are working, which aren't, and then you're just gonna wanna adjust accordingly. And when you complicate with too many ad sets, you're basically blocking the algorithm from being able to optimize itself based on what it knows about its users. And if you have a smaller budget, you really can't afford to test too many ads within a campaign anyway. There's just not enough money per ad to test it properly. So going simple is always the way to go here. The second we have is not targeting strategically. So basically you need to do the research and use what you already know about your ideal customers going into it. I definitely recommend selecting specific audiences through Facebook's built-in targeting features. That's gonna allow you to reach the right type of people. And the different targeting options you have include purchasing behavior, life events, existing contacts like your email list, similar lookalike audiences to your existing customer lists are great. Also layered targeting using location, demographics, and overall behaviors. And Facebook's got some really great research tools built in through Audience Insights that are gonna give you similar recommendations of different audiences you can try based on what you think you already know about your audience. And here you can include interests you believe your target audience has to see what other kinds of demographics they then have in common, like education level, pages they like, frequency of their Facebook activity. There's all kinds of things you can try in there. All right, number 3 is not trying enough different hooks. So when most people think of testing different ads, their mind pretty much goes to thinking about testing a bunch of different images and a bunch of different headlines to go with them. But the problem with that is then they just generally rewrite the same headline a few different ways and call it a day. So what if the problem isn't how you're wording the headline, but that the messaging behind the headline just isn't resonating and moving the needle with your target audience? What I like to do is come up with 3 to 5 different hooks. And by hook, I mean different aspects or benefits of what you're selling. So let's say you're offering a coupon for a kid's birthday party space. Maybe one hook you're talking about the fun the kids are gonna have, or another hook would be the convenience of taking the planning off the parents' plate, or a third hook might be the variety of party themes they can choose from. The bottom line is you never know which hooks are gonna be the most compelling until you test them. So you may do this and you may find that one works best across the board, or some don't work at all, or that even different ones, different hooks work on different subsections of your audience. And this is a great way to scale your ads because you're appealing to different people through all these different hooks that your ads are touching on. And 4, we have forgetting to warm up first. So you wouldn't want to run a marathon or even a 5K or 10K without warming up first. And you don't want to run direct sale ads to cold audiences who you've not warmed up yet either. Now, of course, there are going to be a few exceptions to this, like if you're running ads to a very small local area with a specific offer, But if your plan is to go bigger, you need to take these cold audiences on a journey with you where they get to know you or your business and they ultimately come to trust you. Otherwise, you're just going to be coming across like a sleazy used car salesman. So if you make the mistake of just selling to people who really should be learning more about who you are and how you've helped others in the past, you'll quickly lose their trust and you're going to risk turning them off. So how can you warm up audiences first? You can run a video of you campaign where you're offering tips or advice, and then you run that more direct ad to people who watched a certain percentage of that video. But my favorite way of taking an audience from freezing cold to hot is to use Facebook ads to offer a lead magnet that basically promises them a real result. So they opt in for that. It gets delivered via email. Then you take the whole thing off of Facebook and start a strategic email campaign where you deliver value-packed emails with more tips and more advice and stuff they can use. Then you follow it up with a more promotional style email every 3 or 4 emails you send. All right, number 5 is being too hands-on or too hands-off. So what I find is way too many Facebook advertisers go to either one of these extremes when they're running ads. Some want to just set it and forget it, while some are so nervous about it that they keep checking on it every hour and they end up pulling the plug on the whole thing before the first day is even over. So while it's easy and very tempting to set up your Facebook ad and then walk away, only to check on it 2 weeks later, you really should be looking and analyzing its performance every single day. And if you set up a proper Facebook ads audience, you don't want to show them the same ad every day for months. It's only going to turn off your audience and it's going to end up increasing your cost per conversion that way. You also need to be able to turn off poor performing ads if you need to and increase the budgets of the ones that are working best. But resist that urge to turn on a campaign and then just micromanage it in the first 72 hours of going live. It takes about 3 days for that algorithm to start learning. So many times the ads really seem to not be working very well out of the gate, which is completely normal. But what happens is after 24 hours through that 72-hour mark is when they start to find that sweet spot. And if they don't after 3 days, that's when you want to consider turning some ads off or changing budgets, but not before 72 hours. All right, number 6, we have objective confusion. So what you really need to do is tell Facebook exactly what you want to accomplish with the campaign. So for instance, if you want people to opt in for your lead magnet, you want a conversion goal, not traffic or video views. But if you want to use video views to build engagement audiences to then retarget, then you might want to go with video views. So then when you turn around and retarget them in a different campaign, the objective would then be conversion. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch in that case. There is a big caveat here I want to mention. Facebook's algorithm needs about 50 instances of any objective being met per week so that the algorithm can learn from it. So if you have a smaller budget and you're not spending enough to reach enough people to opt into your list 50 times or buy from you 50 times in that week, you probably need to back out a step and go for the next best objective that does get you 50 instances or more. In most cases, this is probably a traffic objective. Now the problem is that's still not really optimizing for the action that you really want. So the best thing is to keep testing your creative. By that I mean your hooks that we talked about, your headlines, your images, as well as your audiences. And you might also need to increase your budget to get to the point where you are getting 50 plus instances of that conversion objective happening every week. Now, there is one more caveat I want to mention here. So remember I told you earlier how targeting a smaller area can be tricky? Well, in some cases, if the area is small enough, making your audience small, you might want to simply go for the reach objective, meaning it's simply going to show your ad to as many people in that area as possible. So now that you know the mistakes to avoid, let's talk about everything else you need to know to make a really highly converting Facebook ad. I put together this playlist of all my best videos on that subject in order so you'll get every single step to be as effective with your Facebook ads as possible. You'll be able to reach way more customers without wasting money and making those mistakes that we just covered. So just click right up here and I'll see you in a second.